On What It Takes, focus on the virtue that is perseverance, and an interesting read on Bookstop. There are those who look at things the way they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not. Famous words of wisdom by former U.S. President Robert F. Kennedy. And nothing better could describe the life experience of our guest this evening. A man who regards his disability as a blessing and has come to accept this the hard way. And if I might add, has also learned that all the wonders you seek are within yourself. His undaunting spirit and unwavering faith is what makes him an inspiring must-hear quest. This is What It Takes.
The Association of the Physically Disabled of Kenya, located off Nairobi's River Road, is where Duncan Ndegwa finds his way every morning. And when he's done perusing the dailies, he checks out his diary to find out what awaits him for the day. And when this is established, then it's time to get down to business. Duncan is a man who knows only too well the afflictions that grip the disabled, because he lives this reality each and every day. And his duty as Executive Officer of the Association of the Physically Challenged in Kenya couldn't be executed better by anyone else. Oftentimes there will be people to see him, and it is here that his compassionate nature comes to the fore.
I'll ask the social worker. You go to the social worker, fill the form, you only assist the multitude of the cases.
Yeah, we have benefited from some of us have benefited from the organization.
His seniors pay glowing tribute to the man who has taken the APDK to a totally new level.
We offered him this position about 1.5 years ago, and during this quite short period, he has made tremendous achievements. Yeah, he's an excellent fundraiser. Yeah, and he has exposed our organization to the corporate sector. He has been instrumental in attracting sizable donor funds, for example, from Barclays Bank, various embassies, and particularly in the area of wheelchairs and tricycles, he has made a great difference here.
He's just such a very, very positive individual, always thinking how he can do things to improve APDK as an organisation and disabled people as people. So definitely one of the most positive people I have met in my life.
And it is this enthusiasm for life, despite the hurdles faced, that makes Duncan a pleasure to get to know.
It gives me great pleasure to now introduce our guest on What It Takes this evening, Duncan Ndegwa. Duncan, karibu.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know, sikuzi kuna new greetings. So. Have a seat, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Now, Duncan, I believe for us to be able to have a better understanding of the person that is you, we need to have a glimpse into your background. If you can oblige us, if you would.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. It's a pleasure being at KTN. I was born in 1964, 8th of November. I'm not too sure of the village. And at the age of 4, I was attacked by polio. And, well, unfortunately, could not be able to intermingle or do grazing like the normal boys.
Yes.
So at the age of 6, I was taken by Red Cross, Kenya Red Cross Society to a rehabilitation center. This is at Association for the Physically Disabled of Kenya. Then after that, they took me to the school where I did up to O-level. After my O-levels, I went for several courses, that is computer, and business administration.
Just to be able to get the school correctly, what was the name of the school where you...
Salvation Army Joytown.
Right.
Where they did...
was that primary as well?
This was a primary as well as a secondary. And then after that, I went for several courses, information technology and business administration
Let's talk about the time when you were growing up, and at the age of 4, you were attacked by polio.
Yes.
Here you are, 4-year-old, you know, excited about going out to play and hanging about with all other kids. Then all of a sudden your life takes a different turn. I would like to know 2 things. Your reaction, of course. I don't know, as a 4-year-old, are you able to understand what's happening? And of course, also your parents, brothers,
basically,
friends.
What
was
I
your
hear,
reaction?
What I hear from my parents is I used to be very brutal. And I think God works in a very mysterious way, because I used to be a bully. I used to wrestle, beat almost everybody. Out of that disability, yes, I got some things that were not good from my parents. But I think that was a starting point for me, because after being taken by Kenya Red Cross Society to a rehabilitation institution, and my parents having not thought that I would make it in life, I have emerged to be among the best. So in one or another, I look at my disability was a blessing in disguise. My parents basically never thought I would make it because of my disability. But at the moment, I've proved them wrong. You see, God's case has no appeal. You never know what God has for you in future. I've come out as the best, because I'm even supporting them medically. My mother had suffered from breast cancer, so I had to ensure that she underwent through an operation. My father doesn't hear properly, so every month I have to ensure that he has a gadget, he has a battery, just to make that gadget which I bought for him be able to listen properly. I didn't take myself as, in one or another, I wasn't as good as after coming out of it and after going some extensive counseling, which was done by my sponsor. I realized I had a lot of unbounded potential in me. And after unfolding that potentiality, I emerged, I now view life with a lot of positivity.
Brothers and sisters, if any, and what was their role in as far as encouraging you to continue?
Yes, I come from a home where we have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. Unfortunately, one of them passed away. But because it was more or less, I come from a very disadvantaged home economically. So most of the resources they used to concentrate with the ones who are able. So mine was like, had it not been for a sponsor, I would not have made it in life. So my life was more or less like confined to the institution, the rehabilitation institution in Joytown. I'm
interested to know, Duncan, how were you identified by the sponsor as somebody who really needs their help?
Basically, when I was at Association for the Physically Disabled, my photo was put in the notice board, like a child who can be able to go to a school that rehabilitated people with disability. So Mr. Dennis R. Oxley, who is in Britain at the moment, identified me, took my photo, and I was taken to that institution. So what he used to do is just to send money every year, once a year. And I used to write back to him to tell him my progress. The school was also doing the same. Yeah.
How was your reaction from your parents, though? I mean, when you got a sponsor, and as you said, they thought for you, that's your destiny. But what was their reaction when you finally got a sponsor?
Well, I cannot be able to tell because I was very young. And even taking into consideration, I used to come from Sharks in a hilly place where walking was also a little bit of a problem. But it was like, they were just waiting and see whether I'll be able to make it in life. And most of the time, because of some of the achievements that I made, they look at me as a role model.
That's right. You spoke about education. Did your levels, did a bit of some courses. If you can tell us what the courses were. And your experiences also in college. So
I have done diploma in IT information technology, diploma in business administration, and I have one subject to finish so that I can get my degree in Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supplies, that is in London. I wanted to get to be a computer man, but I realized by being a computer person it was a little bit boring, and I wanted to move up and down. So I enrolled for business administration, which has enabled me to do quite a lot of things, and it has even been able to open up my kind of life, the way I live and the way I perceive things. I think my college life was after I was taken into another world where
it's a mixture of everyone.
When I was taken into another world.
Yes.
After being opened up and looking at life in a more positive way.
Right.
I was able to intermingle with people easily, and even this is how I managed to talk to my wife, convince her that I'm okay. And life went on. I even managed to hook the best lady possible who became my wife.
How long were the courses? How long did all the courses, the IT?
My IT was 6 months. My business administration took me 1 year. And now I'm doing it by my own. I'm doing the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply by my own. You realize, Jimmy, there is a lot of potential. Knowledge brings better actions, and with better actions you get fulfilled. You become a fulfilled person. So I'm still working on my own to attain that fulfillment. After college, I got a job. My sponsor managed to get a job for me at Henkel Kenya Limited, where I worked as a supervisor in charge of implementation of computers. And then Henkel was a little bit far from where I was. I wanted to come to town, so I came to town. My sponsor, who is Mr. Fazal, who is in Canada at the moment, took me for some other courses. That was business administration. He paid for it. I managed to do very well. I got a job with Sacinity and Coffee on a high position as a supervisor in charge of purchasing. After that, then I went to World Vision International. That was the Sudan program. And in fact, having worked with an NGO, it really made my life be more different because it used to make me be in reality.
Okay, Duncan, we'll take a short break and then continue with the surgeon shortly. We are speaking with Duncan Mwangi, who sheds light on his professional life when we return. Welcome back. Our guest is Duncan Ndegwa. Now, Duncan, I think we've covered your background adequately. I think we've talked about your experiences while young. We've talked about school. We've talked about some of the companies you've worked for. Let's talk about your current position right now, which is Executive Officer for the Association of the Physically Disabled of Kenya. When did this association start? What is it all about? And what does your responsibility as Executive Officer entail?
Thank you, Jimmy. APDK, or Association for the Physically Disabled of Kenya, was started in 1958 with the aim of rehabilitating and empowering and educating people with a disability. Currently, it has 8 branches throughout Kenya, the biggest being in Mombasa, which has Bombolulu. And in Nairobi alone, we have several projects. One of it is community-based rehabilitation program, which was voted as among the best by UNICEF. This is at Mukuru area.
Right.
Then the other project is where people with a disability come to our place and then disabled themselves are able to make the wheelchairs and the tricycle and even make the caliper, all kinds of mobility aids. As an executive officer is to ensure each and every program is running, and each and every penny that we have been given by the donor, it is utilized to the very best. I would have to be honest with you, it's one of the most credible and reputable organizations because it's audited every month. I'm proud being in that team.
Are you also involved in implementing or coming up with ideas
yes.
For the various projects that you run?
Yes, at the moment we have a very successful program which is coming on board for poverty alleviation. We are giving the people with the disability, the ones who can be able to pedal,
yes.
like the tricycle. The tricycle has an umbrella and they can come to town, do a bit of hawking, make some tunes and go home happily.
Do you feel as somebody who's physically challenged that you constantly, because of societal view on what the physically challenged people are like, do you feel like you constantly have to prove yourself that you're able to feel that?
Not so much. I think what there is when you are the person with when you are physically challenged in any place, you have to look at what blessings do you have. You have to look at the blessings that you have, and if you start counting them, you will find you have 1,000,001. So out of those blessings, you need to now concentrate more on them, not just proving to what you can be able to do. Because if you keep on proving, like if you have a gold suit, then I want to have a better suit than you. You find yourself running broke almost every day. But if you look at your inner strength and your inner blessings, then you just work on them. Then you'll emerge as one of the best.
You offer a lot of counseling as Duncan to a lot of people who are physically challenged. What's their mindset?